Hello there and welcome back to my channel. Miro is a free digital whiteboard tool and is a potential replacement for Google Jamboard, which is being retired by the end of 2024. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a basic overview of how to use Miro, as well as share some pros and cons you might want to consider as a teacher. Let's start with how to get to the website. In your address bar, you can simply type in Miro.com or do a Google search for Miro. It will come right up, but I will also have the website link for you down in the description box. As for the cost, Miro is free for teachers through the education plan. You just have to submit an application, which is available on their website. I will also link it for you down below. From there, you have to submit documentation of your employment status and use an educational email address. It can take up to 10 days for your application to be processed, but you will then receive an email with instructions on how to sign up. That free education plan does include unlimited active boards, unlimited visitors, private boards, custom templates, and additional features like timers and voting, but you can see a full list of features listed on one of the links in the description box. Now, if you are not a teacher or you're not actively in the classroom, you can still create a free account without a credit card that will give you access to 3 editable boards, or you can upgrade to a starter or business account by paying a monthly or yearly fee to gain access to some of those more advanced features that you also find on the education plan. You can also get a free 14-day trial for the business plan, but you do have to provide credit card information in order to get access to that trial. Next, let's talk about how to sign up. You can create your free account by clicking the sign up free button right on the Miro homepage in the top right corner or anywhere else you see it on the page. From there, just enter in your email address or choose one of the other sign up options. For mobile, there are apps available for both Apple and Android. I will have those linked for you down below. There also is a desktop app version available for Mac and Windows. I will link the article on that for you because the version that you download will depend on the capabilities of the device. There also is a Google Workspace add-on. It is available to be installed for free from the Google Workspace Marketplace, and you will see the Miro add-on available in the side panel in any of the Google applications that it is applicable for. For example, in Google Calendar, you can actually add Miro boards as attachments to your calendar events. When you're creating an event, just click on attachments and then you will see that Miro add-on. In Google Meets, you can either create a new board or insert in a board you've already created from your Miro account. Within Google Docs, you can add Miro boards as smart chips, and you can even add Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides directly into your Miro boards. We're gonna come back to that in just a bit. Next, let's take a look at the dashboard. So the dashboard is the main page of your Miro account where all of your boards are saved and where you can create new boards from. This is what it looks like. If you have seen my FIGJAM tutorial video, then you will notice it looks very similar to the setup of FIGJAM. On the left-hand side, you have your teams. Now, depending on your account, you may have the capabilities to create multiple teams.
We need an A team, a backup team, and a just have fun team.
So you might have a team for different subject areas that you teach or different classes. But you also have the option to create projects. Projects are basically organizational folders for your Miro boards. So you might choose to create projects for different subject areas or different units that you teach. Otherwise, you will see all of your boards listed. You can go to recent boards, and then you also have the ability to star boards. So they will show up in that starred section. It's like a bookmark section. You also can search for your boards and you can invite other members. So if you're collaborating with team teachers, you might add them onto your team so that you can share and utilize each other's boards. One feature from the dashboard I did want to bring your attention to that's a little bit unique for Miro is the capabilities to change the thumbnail of the board. So if you hover over one of your boards and click the 3 dots, you will notice this drop down that says change thumbnail. From there, you can either choose from the images that Miro already has, or you can upload your own. Now, the thumbnail is just going to be the image that displays on the board when you see it in your dashboard, but it can be a really fun way to kind of keep things organized. Of course, you can color code, customize them however you would like. Next, let's talk about how to create a whiteboard. From your dashboard, you can just click where it says New Board, or in your address bar, you can actually type in miro.new and it will automatically open up a new blank whiteboard. Now, when you first create a whiteboard, you will notice the templates come up. From here, of course, you can choose a template, or you can start from scratch and just close it out. You can always open this template window back up if you do change your mind later. And another unique feature is that you can toggle on or off whether it shows you this when you create a new board. So if you don't want to be prompted to use a template and you just wanted to create a blank whiteboard, you can go ahead and toggle that off and then click the X to return to your whiteboard. Next, let's talk about some of the tools and features within Miro. We're gonna go through the top toolbar, which is mostly your board settings, and then the left toolbar, which is gonna be more of the actual whiteboard tools. So going across this top whiteboard, if you click on Miro, it's just gonna take you back to that dashboard. And if you click here for free, this will tell you what your plan is and you have the option to upgrade. Next is the title of your board. If you click, it will give you the option to retitle. So example board, you can add a description, and from here you can also go ahead and change that thumbnail image. Once you click off, it will save that new title, and then you have a menu of options. So you have your command palette. This is a great way to search for different tools that you might be looking for. You also have some board settings. So you can create a new board, you can make a copy of your board, you can go ahead and move it into a project so you can get it organized, delete, rename, star, those are all things that we've covered before. You can also change the background color. So you have a few different color options. You can also view the board history. So that's a great way to go back and undo certain changes that maybe you've made. And you can set the start view. This is going to be where the board starts when it's first opened up. So this is a great way to bring visitors to a certain spot of your board when they first open it. Then you have some view options. You have the grid. You can either have no grid, a line grid, or dot grid. You can also toggle on or off to see collaborators' cursors, comments on the board, scroll bars, object dimensions, and you can go into full screen mode. Then you have your preferences. So your mouse or trackpad, I just leave it on auto detect, but you could also choose between mouse or trackpad. You can choose to have it align objects, reduce motion, or follow all threads. And then you can also go into your profile settings. And then you have some basic helps. You also can send it to an interactive display if you have it connected to one. Next is going to be your export button. This is going to allow you to export this whiteboard as another file format, such as an image, a PDF, or save it as a template to be able to use in the future. You can also save it directly to your Google Drive. So if you have it connected to your Google Workspace, then you have the option to actually save Miro boards right in your Google Drive. And if you're like me and you live and breathe by Google Drive, that might be a great option for you. Next is the search button. It's pretty standard. Then we move over into some of the apps. Now you can either show or hide the apps just by clicking the arrow to hide it or clicking the show apps button to expand it. From here, you do have access to a timer if you have an upgraded account. You also have voting, again, if you have an upgraded account. Then you have something called Talk Track. This is going to allow you to record interactive little tutorial videos with your screen and your camera. So it's a great way to maybe record tutorials to go along with an activity. Then you have estimation with an upgraded account. And you also have notes. This is a great way to be able to take notes on a document or start from templates such as to-do lists, agendas, summaries, workshop notes, and more. If you click the More Apps button, you can search for apps, but you can also click Get More Apps, and there is a marketplace where you have different integrations that you can choose to add in. Next, you have the option to hide or show collaborator cursors by toggling that on or off. You have some reactions. There are emoji reactions as well as raising your hand. And then you have the comment section. Again, this is pretty standard for most digital whiteboards. Next, you're gonna see your icon. And if you have an upgraded account with some attention management tools, you will have the option to bring everyone to you or bring a specific person to you. And then you have your feed. This is a great way to see all of your mentions and comments in one place. And then you have your presentation option. So you can present your entire board, frames, activities, or your talk track, which we're gonna come back to some of these features as we go through the pros. Finally is the share button. And again, this is pretty standard as you've seen in other places. You can enter in emails, you can change the level of access that that person has. You can generate a link, and again, you can change the level of access. You also have the option to embed your board after you publish it. So you can create a custom template from your board or publish it to the Miroverse. Next, we have that left toolbar, and again, these are gonna be a majority of those whiteboard tools. So by default, you will be on just the cursor, but underneath of that is the template button. This brings back up that same window that we had at the beginning. And again, you have the option to preview any of these so you can see what the template actually looks like. And if you do want to use one, just click on Use Template and it will insert it right onto your whiteboard, and you can insert multiple templates onto a single whiteboard. Now, once you insert in an element, you kind of have this additional toolbar here with some options, and the options that are there are going to depend on what element you have inserted, such as a template or an image. But going back to that left toolbar, you have your basic text tool. So it just turns your cursor into a text box. You can click anywhere and go ahead and type. And from there, again, you've got font options. You're not able to import your own fonts, but there are a pretty good selection to choose from. You can change the font size, the font style, alignment. You can insert in links, change the text color, highlight color, background color. You can insert in comments, and you can lock it so that it's not able to be moved around on the board. Next, you have the sticky notes. And again, you have some templates that you can view that have different sticky note kind of arrangements. So that's a great way to add in like a bulk set of sticky notes at once. But you can also insert in individual ones by selecting a color and then clicking on the board. From there, you can type on the sticky note. You also have the option to go into bulk mode. And in bulk mode, you have the option to be able to copy and paste several different like copied cells from maybe a spreadsheet that you've created, and it will insert them all in as sticky notes at once. So that's a great time saver for you. Next, you have the shape tool. And again, this is pretty standard. If you do have an education plan, you're gonna have some more advanced shape options. You also can add in connector arrows, and you have a pen tool. So like with most digital whiteboards, you have your basic pen, your highlighter, your smart drawing, which is going to help you. So if like you draw a circle, it will kind of perfect it for you and turn it into an actual circle. You have your eraser, your lasso tool, which will allow you to select objects and then be able to go in and edit them. Underneath of that is the comment button. And again, this is pretty standard, but this will allow you to add comments to different areas of the board just by clicking and then typing. And of course, you can mention people, and then there also are emojis there as well. Underneath of that is the frame button. Now, what I love about Miro is that you are able to create different sized frames. So for example, custom, you can then just move it around on your board and place it around certain areas by resizing it. And your frame is kind of capturing, almost like putting it into its own little window, and you can then use that to create slideshows, but we're gonna come back to that. Underneath that is your upload button. From here, you can upload images, documents. You can choose to do it from your device through URLs, or some of these different integrations such as Google Drive. So I mentioned if you do connect your Google Drive, then you have the option to add those in directly from there. And then you have the More Apps button. This will show you some of the other options that you can add into your toolbar. And if you want to permanently add them in, if it's something you're gonna use a lot, like stickers and emojis, you can pin it, and then it will stay as part of your toolbar there. Then you have your basic undo and redo buttons, and then finally at the bottom, you can open your frames. So by creating frames, you then have the option to present them in a slideshow. So because I already have a frame around this brainwriting template, it has inserted it in as a slide. And from here, I can choose to copy the link and share a link to just that single section of the whiteboard. I can also export just that single section of the whiteboard as an image or a CSV file. I can also add in activities if you have an upgraded account. Now let's go through some of the pros for Miro. First of all, it does have an infinite canvas, which means it will continue expanding. You can move around and have as much space as you need.
Plenty of space in the parking lot.
I think one of the biggest pros is the fact that it does connect with your Google account, which allows you to save Miro boards directly in your Google Drive and even create new Miro boards from Google Drive, which can be a huge time saver. You also have those integrations with other Google apps, such as Google Calendar and Google Meet that I mentioned at the beginning, where you can attach it to calendar events, you can open up boards in a Google meeting. But what I love is that you can also insert in Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides to your Miro board, and you can even edit them right within Miro. So once again, this is a huge time saver. You don't have to have multiple tabs open. You could insert in a planning doc to a whiteboard that you're using with your team teachers as you're planning, and you can make changes all in one place, and that is a huge time saver. I also really like those board settings where you can toggle on seeing the collaborators' cursors, as well as like the comments and some of those extra features. So if you're someone that easily gets overstimulated or your students get easily overstimulated, you can toggle those off and it makes for just a more clean user experience. Similar to other digital whiteboards, there are also keyboard shortcuts, which if you're using the tool a lot and you can learn those keyboard shortcuts, that will be a huge time saver for you as well. I also think the talk track feature is a huge pro. The fact that you can create those screen recordings with your Miro board as well as your camera, or you have the option to turn the camera off, right in Miro is a huge time saver, and it allows you to create feedback for your students or visual directions that you can incorporate into your boards so everything is in one place. I also love the note-taking feature. Once again, I think it's handy to have it just separate from the whiteboard. Even though you could add a text box or sticky notes on the whiteboard, I think having that designated spot for notes, as well as those built-in templates like the to-do list, would come in handy. For example, if you're planning with your team teachers, you can create a to-do list of things that you all need to get done. Or even if you're doing this with students, maybe you're trying to help them kind of plan out a writing assignment, you can then create a to-do list of the steps that your students will need to follow as they complete the assignment themselves. I also love that there is a private mode, so you can choose to keep your sticky notes hidden and then reveal them all at one time. So if you are collaborating on a board, I think this is a really handy feature. And if you are using Miro to collaborate, there are tons of communication tools like the emoji reactions. You can raise your hand, you have those built-in comments and the notes, but there also is a built-in video chat feature, which is really handy. And depending on your account, there also are those attention management features where you can choose to follow someone specifically. So if I have a team teacher and I want to see where they're at on the board, I can choose to follow them or a specific student. You have the option to bring everyone to you, which is really handy, especially if you are using it with students. And you can choose to bring just a specific person to you. So maybe a student raises their hand, they're like, wait, I'm lost. You can choose to bring just that student to you on the board. Now with the frames, I love that there are built-in frame sizes to choose from, which will help those frames fit different devices. I think that that's a very useful capability of it. Plus, the fact that you can then take those frames and easily turn it into a slideshow with interactive activities like voting and timers. I think that that is a fantastic way to utilize one tool in multiple different capacities. Plus, when you are presenting, you then have access to some of those whiteboard tools like the pen and the sticky notes, so it becomes more interactive than just a basic slideshow. And you can then take those individual frames and export them as images or share them as a link with students or families on an LMS or in an email. So after you have done a whiteboarding activity with your students, you can then share it out with families so they can utilize it at home. Miro does have a built-in AI called Miro Assist, and it's a great way to be able to summarize information or ask questions. Now, like with most HI, this technology is constantly improving, so it's not necessarily going to work perfectly every time, but it can be a big time saver. And similar to other whiteboard tools, Miro does have tons of built-in templates that you can easily insert into your board, such as mind maps and brainstorming and sticky notes and even icebreakers. Depending on your account, you also have the capability to create and save your own templates, which can be really, really handy. But there also is the Miroverse, which is full of templates created by other Miro users within the community that you can browse through and utilize. Miro boards also have the built-in learning center. This is down at the bottom, and once you click on it, if you get stuck at any point, you can actually practice the skill right on the whiteboard. It will walk you through what to do step by step, and I think that's super, super handy for troubleshooting. And finally, there is the Miro Academy, full of free courses, videos, and even live trainings. You can also get verified badges by taking some of the specific courses, such as Miro Essentials, Collaborative Meetings, Client Collaboration, Miro User Support, and Technical Diagramming. But as with every tool where there are pros, there are cons. And I think one of the biggest cons of Miro is that, at least at the time of this filming, the Jamboard importer is not currently available. So if you are wanting to take your existing jams and be able to integrate them into a digital whiteboard, Miro is not going to be your best option right now. You can sign up to get notified once it becomes available. I will leave that link for you down in the description box, but as of right now, you're not able to import those jams quite yet. Also, as with most of these digital whiteboard tools, if you're using just the basic free account, you're going to be very limited. Certain features are not going to be available to you, like the timers and the voting and the custom templates. But if you are using that free education plan, that shouldn't be an issue for you. Also, you can have visitors, which means someone that does not have a Miro account, on your Miro board, which is great, but there's going to be limited capabilities. So for example, some of those attention management features are not going to be available if the user does not have a Miro account. So if you are using this with your students, they would most likely need Miro accounts in order to take full advantage of all of the capabilities. And then a final con is a lot of the templates and the integrations that you can add in are more geared toward businesses. I think Miro is going to expand in the education sense, but right now a lot of their education templates are even more so for high school and higher education. So for elementary, you're going to be somewhat limited unless you're creating your own templates. But again, I do think Miro overall is a very powerful tool. You can utilize it personally for brainstorming and lesson planning. You can use it with team teachers during meetings or during team planning sessions. You can use it with students to be able to brainstorm and diagram and help them be able to collaborate in a shared space using some of those tools. But those are the